Bands over soup with Ryan and Portico and Sully Smith.
The soup is pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is incredible, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife was making fun of me. She's like, "No one likes tomato soup, Wes." I'm like,
Oh,
"I do,"
tomato
and they
soup is
asked
the
me. I
best.
love tomato
Oh,
soup.
I do
It's
too. This is
simple,
really
it's
good.
simple and true.
Yeah.
It definitely it's like meant to be with something else.
I
But
think so, yeah. It's classic.
That beer goes really good with it too. What did you have? Oh, same. You got the same. Okay. That's my.
At 11.
So here we are, yeah.
The soup is good. Should I slurp soup obnoxiously in front of the microphone?
Why not?
Just, a good hour-long recording of soup slurping.
Yeah.
That's
Thanks for giving us food, man. I feel like
Oh
we
no,
should-
hey, I mean, like, it's,
This is quite a treat.
This is
Yeah.
very
You
nice.
know, I talked to Bailey. I talked to
Space
Bailey
Camp.
from Lost in Space Camp, and he said what he was gonna do was bring pho, or foo or fa or how.
Yeah. I love pho.
Pho.
Oh, yeah.
But
Pho's so good.
so next
It's
time,
a healing, it's like a medicinal food,
I didn't even know that was it. Like, I didn't really know what pho was until like I was watching Modern Family, and it became a big joke about what it, how to pronounce it.
Pho.
Oh, really?
I first had pho here in Roanoke, not at Viet's, but they sell pho, but there's a Vietnamese spot across the road.
Pho, yeah.
Vietnamese guy, right? He comes up to me and my wife. He's, we're saying like we're new to the neighborhood. He's really nice, and then he like Vietnamese and super broken English. He goes on a racist rant about Mexicans being loud on their motorcycles, which I don't think that's like a
Is that even a
stereotype
thing? Yeah.
of Mexicans at all.
Yeah.
And it was just so because we're just like eating our food, and we're just like, man. It was so weird to like see. Usually when you meet a racist, it's like a pretty typical American, like there's like a
Certain
stereotype of racist itself, but it was just some like nice, seemingly nice Vietnamese guy just hating
Whoa.
on Mexicans. It was so random. But yeah, good soup.
Yeah.
no, well, I
can
mean,
make
like,
some
hey,
fun.
they're racists of all types, It's,
I learned a lesson that day.
So here we are with Lucy the Spy today. A couple members from Lucy the Spy. We have Wes
Hello.
and Jason. Not to catch you in the middle of a bite.
It never stops me
Yeah,
anyways.
it's all good. But yeah,
well,
and happy to be here with Sully Smith here as well.
yeah. My name is Sullivan Smith. This is
And I'm Ryan in Portico.
So we are here. This is the first episode of what I hope to be many more episodes of Bands Over Soup, a podcast where we talk to bands over soup. So for anybody listening, thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. And I guess let's get this out of the way. So I guess we'll go with from right to left, which the radio listeners, just imagine. So we have Wes. What do you play?
I play guitar and I sing in Lucy the Spy.
And Jason, what do you play?
I'm the drummer.
All right.
Hit things.
Oh yeah.
And we're going to keep that story about that the racist Vietnamese man.
Please.
That's definitely going in there.
Should have learned his name. Put it out there.
So I guess this is your soup, or this
Yeah,
is your
yeah.
choice of a
Yeah.
soup. Why did you choose this soup, Wes?
Tomato soup.
It's tomato soup, by the way.
First of all, I love tomatoes. I will eat just a straight up tomato, put some salt and pepper on it, take a bite of it like an apple. Love tomatoes. But this soup particularly was like on sick days growing up, my mom would make tomato soup and like a grilled cheese. Never had the chicken noodle. I feel like for most kids it was chicken noodle, but it was always tomato at my house
Yeah.
for whatever reason. So
Yeah.
Yeah, we were big. We had tomato soup when we were sick too. So I guess it's kind of a mom thing, and maybe
Sure.
maybe
It's a comforting.
Yeah,
thing,
it's
tomato soup.
I like chicken noodle. It's a little salty though for my palate. So yeah, good old tomato soup, man.
I guess we should get with that out of the way.
Yeah.
And you play.
And
you do.
Well, okay.
Sullivan plays.
Yes,
with Lucy the Spy.
I am also in Lucy the Spy. For those who don't know,
He's our very great lead guitar player.
I noodle. It's just
You noodle well.
it's
Yeah.
called ramen. You know?
Well, I say lead guitar. I don't think it's anything so defined in this band, but he's the one who's not always singing.
Lead amorphous, guitar. Yeah, I think that's fair enough.
So I guess let's get. Who wants to get to the history of the band?
Yeah, that's what I wanted. I was about to ask too. Like, how long have you guys been playing together?
Honestly, just about a year now, I'd say. So I remember it was about this time last year that the four of us would get together and play, more or less.
That's correct.
And Jason and I had written a few songs together and approached you, Sully. You were the first guy we approached, and we wanted you on bass.
Yeah, that was. I played bass for about maybe. I played bass for about a week and a half.
Yeah.
Or, no, I was gonna
think
say
you
it
got
was,
to one
it was about a
practice.
week.
One practice, right?
Yeah.
And I felt terrible because you were like so into it and you were so cool about it, and you went and bought some bass pedals and you were like ready to rock, and then I was like, do you want to play guitar instead? Because we had Tim. And I will say, I think you seemed like almost relieved. Like, yes, I do want to play guitar rather than bass in a sense. But I felt bad because you were like so right off the bat, like willing to be a team player and go play bass with us. But
Well, I was excited to learn a new instrument. That's or not. I guess it's really what is a bass except a guitar with 4 strings.
Well, yeah.
for
You guys
those,
write songs together, so you.
Well,
or-
he says that. I'm not much. I don't really write a lot of the songs with him. I might help, more in song form or song structure. But
Structure.
Wes is he's our melody guy. He's he brings. He's definitely the big creative unit in the band, which I'm perfectly okay with. I started off playing guitar, when I was a young pup, and now that I got older, I wanted just different challenges, so I moved over to drums, which I had a little bit of background. Plus, there was 4 guitar players trying to figure out what role in the band we would play.
Right.
So it's like I kind of played drums and started getting into it.
And I mean, once the wrestling match was essentially, Wes was dominant. It just.
Sometimes that happens. You just kind of get pushed naturally into your role, and then you end up liking that instrument. And you kind
yeah. And he's grown a lot. You were always like the only one of us that could keep a beat, But you definitely you're at a point now where I'd consider you. I almost forget you can play guitar. And he's such a
Right.
good guitarist too.
that happens sometimes.
Because he's one of the. He's the drummer in my friend group, but he's always the guy I hit up, like, hey man, got a new project, you're on drums. Like, that's what it is.
Well, and I feel like Jason, you played you played drums on some struggling artist's EP as well.
This is true. I actually played for Sully here for Sullivan Smith and the Stray Lions. Had a lot of fun doing it. My age started to come through near the end of the sessions, and I was in a lot of pain after a few studio hours, but I had a lot of fun.
That was. I really do appreciate that.
Yeah,
The songs
anytime,
turn
man.
out great too, honestly.
Yeah. Jason, what are your? I guess since we have a kind of history of the band, is this your first band?
No, I've been in bands almost as long as I've played guitar. So I started playing guitar when I was about 15. I had a teacher who said he was either going to expel me or I had to stay after school and learn guitar. And I was like, okay, let's do the guitar thing. And I really took to it, and it was a lot of fun. It actually calmed me down a lot, I found. And then I just found like-minded people at the school who did similar things. In fact, I shared a picture this week of actually started a guitar class at that school.
Nice.
Based around that. My choir teacher was a classically trained guitar player. He's incredible. But yes, my first band, I can almost name every band I was in. I was in Seven. Then I was in Fault Line, which was terrible, like teenage rock.
We all have those stages.
We all do.
I was in this, I guess, pseudo nu metal band. It was before nu metal was, a defined thing, called Purge. a local band here in Virginia called Caneva back in 2000, 2001. We had a lot of luck with that. Went out over WROV on the radio, and I had a lot of fun doing that. But then we went to record our album. We went to the studio, and I heard this band doing these beautiful harmonies and guitar parts, and here we're screaming and just punching stuff, and I was like, I want something different. And after a while, I just I guess I was in Saving Thoreau after that, which was a predecessor to Lucy that I did with Wes.
Okay.
And a couple guys.
I think we have a track. We have a track later on.
Oh, okay, very cool.
So,
Yeah.
I don't know if is it the demo version or is it the?
That was the first like single we put out, Saving Thoreau, and that was the band that Jason and I were in together before Lucy.
What prompted the name change? I probably heard that.
So
before.
yeah, it's funny. It essentially was really just a name change. We did like have some kind of new ideas for how we wanted to approach like a new project, but what prompted it was our guitarist moving. We had another guy we play with, and he moved out to Columbus. Ethan, we missed him dearly, and we were at a point where it was like, okay, this band kind of existed as 4 friends, and one of those friends is leaving because life was an upgrade for him to go out and do this thing. So we just kind of wanted to start fresh, and we wrote up that batch of 4 songs for a demo, and reached out to Sully a good 6 months later, maybe after.
I think so.
left.
Yeah.
So Wes, was Saving Thoreau your first band or?
Yeah, I'd say it was my first real music project that had a respectable pedigree to them. Jason was talking about the teenage band stuff, and you guys asked me for an early recording, and I was very thrilled. I was happy that there's not that many recordings of whatever I sounded like when I was
There's no evidence
in my teens. So, this
You
is
burned it.
this is probably a good thing that I don't have too much from back then. But so yeah, I would say that was my first real.
There's evidence of some of the stuff I did out there. Caneva can still be found, and I know some of the tapes from even 7, when I was 15, 16 years old, me singing Silverchair songs, which I got torn apart by my friends unmercifully for picking that song.
It happens. But you have to learn though. I mean, that's
exactly
with anything.
Yeah.
So, what I guess artists inspired you to start with music?
Local or otherwise, what I mean.
Go ahead, Wes, if you
I'd say
Actually, that was
to think about
question there.
local stuff.
Yeah.
Timothy Ferris's band, The Lousy Ferns, was his project. When I first moved to Roanoke 6 years ago, it's about the same time I met you, Sully, through Craigslist.
Which is
an
odd story.
Such an old-fashioned statement. Usually that doesn't end well when you meet someone on Craigslist.
But typically it's just for sex. But
that's we had sex and then we started playing.
That's
I
exactly
also
what
play
happened.
guitar.
Right, and I met Tim through Facebook, DIY, some Roanoke DIY page, and we, for one show, both Jason and I played with Tim's band. I think I played bass, and you were on drums. And I love Tim. I'm still good friends with him, and I love.
Oh, he's good people.
That was my first time where I met someone that was playing shows in the local scene and was still just a really nice, accessible person, and he kind of helped show me the ropes of how to be in a local band, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Tim definitely got to give him a lot of credit for what got me going for playing around Roanoke, I'd say.
And then I guess as far as outside of the the local scene, what
so the macro scene.
Yeah, the macro scene, or the macro scene they call the world.
I think I'm going to trademark that word, macro scene.
The macro scene.
You heard it here.
Real early music inspiration. The first band I really got into was Primus. I had Sailing the Seas of Cheese. That was the first CD I ever bought, and it was so weird and strange and just cool. It was the first time I'd heard music that wasn't just whatever my parents had on the radio. So I was probably like 11, 12, and I just loved it. Fell in love with it. So that was like my first early
No one
like,
sounds like
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Primus,
for
you
sure.
know?
And I can't say that they've influenced how I write or sound at
Right,
all. It
right.
was the first band that really oh man, this is cool and weird and unique.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I guess what about you, Jason?
I'd say, I always had a thing for music, even going back when I was really, really little. My mom and her sisters were really into 80s hair metal. And I got exposed to it, and I just thought, oh man, these guys are playing guitar, and it looks cooler, And I asked for a guitar that Christmas. I was 6 years old. I asked for a guitar that Christmas, and I was given an acoustic, and I was so disappointed. And I didn't even try to play it. It was years later before I actually tried again to play guitar. But that would have been around the time that Nirvana had, really started to fall apart. I was, All Apologies was on the radio when I heard Kurt had killed himself, and I'd say that affected me heavily. And it was a year later. I was known for having this great collection of CDs in my super small mountain town, and I had all of this alternative stuff that James's Laid. I had the Blue album before it was really on MTV. I was the original hipster.
So I was going to say you were the original mecca for any weirdos in your town.
Exactly. And
What town is it?
I was actually in Hyco, West Virginia, but really it would be in the area as Ansted, West Virginia. It's if anybody who's been to West Virginia, there's 3 things you can see. I was near the bridge. And that will make sense if you've ever been to West Virginia.
Bridge,
yeah, the bridge.
The bridge.
Sounds like a video game town location.
It's about that
by
odd
the
too.
bridge.
It's about as odd as something like that.
Yeah.
And then once I'd sold all of my CDs and my CD player to get my first guitar, and everybody was like, "You can't do that." And it's I said, "Well, I'm going up because I want to play music." And just
what was your first guitar?
my first guitar was the first one I bought was a Fender Jag Sting, which was a terrible Kurt Cobain model. It was so bad, Kurt didn't want it either. he hated the thing, and you can actually see it in the REM What's the Frequency Kenneth video, because it was given to Peter Buck afterwards. But it really was a poorly designed, poorly made model. But I would say before that, my grandmother had this old 40s or 50s harmony guitar with strings, an inch and a half off the fret.
I was about to say.
Yeah.
But I started getting into classical music, like I said before, or after that, and it just took off. I mean, I remember my guitar teacher. He said, he given me a couple guitars and everything. I said, well, I think I'm next. I'm gonna get a Paul Reed Smith, and he said, you'll get a car and you'll just go out after girls and everything like that. And he came back a year later after retiring to pick up some stuff, and I said, hey, Mr. Cole, I've got a Paul Reed Smith now. He's like, do you got a car? I said, no.
No girlfriend either.
Yeah. No, I was quite the ladies' man. And I said, ladies, I'm just 2 of them. Yeah, in those 4 years.
Mom and sister.
Yeah, it's plural.
Well, I mean, Paul Reed, that's all the ladies you need right now. I think that's the one lie that I think that I found. It's like, oh, you get the guitar, the women will love that. I never
That
saw
was-
that.
It hasn't been the case for me.
Yeah.
There's no conclusive.
My wife is always very polite when I'm practicing, but I can tell she's like, will you please shut up?
Yeah.
Especially when you're practicing, your practice shouldn't sound good. You're getting better at if you're jamming or performing. There's like a certain element like this is already polished, but when I'm truly practicing it, you're growing. And, it doesn't sound too great, but
It's not a performance at
Right.
that point.
but
Yeah.
that's not been my experience. I haven't had girls, knocking at my doorstep.
What about you, Wes? What was your first guitar?
It was those like packs you could get, a couple hundred that had like a practice amp and like some sort of Squire with it. It was a Fender
Frontman
Stratocaster.
amp.
I think it was a little Ibanez amp.
Oh,
That
okay.
little Ibanez I have. That was what was the
Oh, is that where that came from?
Yeah, and the
Okay.
guitar it's a Greg Barrett. That's what's on the headstock. Don't know who Greg is. Don't
Yeah.
know anything about it. It's a Stratocaster knockoff, but it was a part of like that kind of kit where
He will
has
be
an
forever
amp and
known
cable.
as Greg Barrett, that one guy who made that guitar.
Yeah.
What it is?
I still have it, but
There's something like 80% of the guitars are made in one factory. That doesn't mean that like factories like PRS or Gibson or Fender aren't doing their own work. It just means that there's one factory's pumping out a ton of guitars just with like different names on them. And so when you buy something like a made in Indonesia or Taiwan Schecter, you're probably getting to something that came out like a Greg Barrett. It's probably came out of the same factory.
I never looked into it.
Yeah.
That's probably the guy who cleaned the toilet. You know what I mean?
You know, he drew his name on with Sharpie. Like, this one's mine.
This one's mine, guys. Well, I guess.
Well, let me ask you, Sully, since you're technically part of this band.
Oh, yeah.
Technically. What was your first guitar?
My first guitar was a Epiphone J45. It was came out of my, like you said previously, it came out of my grandmother's garage,
Nice, okay.
and it was just this acoustic guitar. I loved the sound of it. It eventually warped to the
Okay.
point where I was like,
Probably because it was in the garage.
It's extreme temperature changes.
Yes, sir.
That's true. And at the time, I lived in Florida, so it was went from Virginia to all the way down to Florida. So I was like, yeah, but,
That'll do it.
Yeah. But my first electric was an Epiphone Stratocaster.
Wow, I remember those. That weird headstock, that really long, weird headstock.
Yeah, I still have it. I will show you as soon as.
Fantastic.
Epiphone Stratocaster.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
I had
it's,
no
it's
idea.
an odd. I'm like, I didn't realize that they wanted to rip off Fender. Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
But we should probably play your earlier works or
Sure.
From Saving Thoreau.
From
Okay.
This is.
And now, how long ago was this project, and for how long before?
6-7 years ago.
Okay.
That's when it
remember.
started. So we started Loose the Spy about a year ago, and when we started this band, it had only been 3 months or so, maybe 6 tops, since the first band had dissolved. But yeah, we played for 3 or 4 years. In terms of, we all met 5 or 6 years ago. I think
Right,
it was
right.
about 2.5.
That-
maybe
you're
3
probably
years,
right.
I
Yeah,
think.
that makes
But-
that sounds about right, because I feel like you guys. I met you guys. You had like broken up or
We had a couple false
starts
starts in between there.
We were,
Yeah.
I don't even know if we had a name by that point. We were trying to figure out, and I think at a certain point we were trying to keep you on guitar and get a drummer. It was just a lot of moving pieces. But
Well, so what are we listening to? It's For the Fairest.
yeah, so For the Ferris was the first song we wrote for that group.
Yeah.
And that was hard. We did a demo version of it. I couldn't find a copy of, but this was our first like single version.
And-
Sounds pretty good.
And
Too.
interestingly, we actually had a really good response to it. I mean, to the point,
Yeah.
we'd go to certain shows and people, I listened to For the Fairest contest. I had people coming up to me, and I've never had this happen to me before. Usually, after shows, there is always the, slap on the back afterwards and
yeah,
everything.
nice set, man.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, exactly. That's it.
Like the end of a little league baseball game.
Yeah.
It's like good game, good game,
Right.
good game. You get the other band. Hey, nice set. But
Yeah, which we appreciate, and thank you for
absolutely.
inflating our ego.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it right there. That's what it's about. I mean, really.
Right.
So
Yeah, we always had a good response to this song.
This is For the Fairest, right?
Yes.
For the Fairest.
Yeah.
Were you playing drums on this track?
I am.
Or, yeah. Okay.
Thank days is not the worst thing you know. I want this feeling to course through my veins and seep down through my bones.
They're starting to make these really they're about the size of bebop kits like that back from like back then, but they're very like self-contained, so you can get I guess really they're busking kits is the idea.
Busking.
Yeah, and I actually really like that. Anything as long as I get a bass, a kick, and something.
That's what it is.
Yeah,
Like,
as long as I get
simple.
that.
I like
yeah.
the way they sound, honestly.
Yeah.
They're very dry and like just kind of, I don't know. They sound a little
Yeah, I know what you mean.
vintagey.
This
Yeah.
is sort of almost
Yeah.
vintage.
Yeah.
Dry is definitely a good adjective for it.
I wouldn't have any problem like even like mounting like a hi-hat or a ride on my kick drum and just take, because my kick drum's pretty lightweight, put it out, anywhere I have to go, put it out there and just bring a snare, and that's my kit for the night. I mean, might be interesting to see how that shakes out.
Yeah.
But that's one thing I guess are you recording something?
Oh yeah,
You can cut that. No,
yeah, we can hold it.
that's right.
All the sex and drugs and rock and roll, and that was an amazing story that we didn't catch on air.
But yeah, that's one thing I really like about the drums is that it's almost never perfect. You might be playing a house kit that's falling apart, or you might be playing a kit that uses a lot more or a lot less than you're used to, and you have to adjust to that. And it's everything's very on the fly. It feels like you're running like as fast as you can down a hill because you're just hanging on for dear life, getting through the songs or whatever. And it's just a great sensation.
It's almost like if you're a guitarist and you go to a show and you don't know what pedal board you're getting that night.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, there's
variety.
there's actually a little bit of cliche is about getting a Fender Twin in the back, in the back line. It's everyone was used to use Fender Twins. So bring your pedal board.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's you got to work with what you have to.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right.
So, but what do you guys think? What do you guys think of the scene in Roanoke?
I think it's great. Yeah. Any local scene, unless you're in a really popping off spot. Some shows, not a lot of people show up, and I'm definitely guilty of knowing of a show and not always going. But
Yeah.
no, it's fun. I think there's a lot of like kind of cool generational gaps. We'll play with shows, even Jason, you're 10 years older than me.
We
but-
are a generational gap.
Yeah, right. Even in our band, so it's fun, and I like that we play. I feel like we play music that is weird enough to fit in. We can open for a hardcore band, or open for a singer songwriter, or open for kind of these younger like jam band type groups that are around, and we kind of blend in everywhere, for better or worse.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, I guess I feel the same. I think that I've been part of like really toxic scenes in the past, playing in different places and everything. But Roanoke, even anytime I've played in a band in Roanoke, the scene's been really, really cool. I think that there's a lot of variety in Roanoke, and I think that's its greatest strength. I think you get you go out and you play with the Gaffer Project one weekend, and next week it's Trouble Gum, and they couldn't be any more different.
They're definitely different.
Well, I mean, yeah, exactly. But I guess everyone has felt very welcoming to it. It just seems like that Roanoke wants something to happen, on the weekends or whatever,
Yeah,
enough
yeah.
that people just treat each other.
Everyone seems cool with playing with everyone. No one.
Yeah.
When I grew up in Richmond, you went to a hardcore show. It was all hardcore. There wasn't some random young jam band opening for it. But now in Roanoke, you never know. And generally, there's a theme of a show, but
There's
I
definitely
like
a
that
hardcore
there's
scene. In
yeah, oh for sure.
I didn't
for
know
sure.
so you're from Richmond.
Yeah, I grew
Okay.
up in Richmond. I was certainly not part of the hardcore scene. I would certainly go to shows, but
What brought you to Roanoke?
so I got a teaching job here in Roanoke County.
Okay.
I got my master's at Virginia Tech. Met my wife there. We were dating then. She teaches in Salem. I got a job offer in Roanoke County and
Cool.
settled on down.
I always like to hear transplants in Roanoke. This is
Yeah,
where I'm
it's-
from. I moved away for a number of years, but
Okay.
I'm back now, and I say bring in,
Yeah,
Roanoke
sure.
ought to be welcoming, and
Right.
I think Roanokers are for the most part. There's
Sure.
there's an older population that might be a little more.
I miss Richmond. I love my city, but yeah, Roanoke's a cool spot. I love that, seeing the mountains every day on the way to work. Like there's so many things I just wasn't used to down in Richmond. But,
Yeah, and I'm not really I'm kind of a transplant here. Again, originally from West Virginia. Lived in Huntington, West Virginia for a bit, Columbus, Ohio for a bit. But I just always felt like Roanoke was home, even though for 19 years I was in West Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
And again, actually, maybe it's the scene that I love about Roanoke that keeps bringing me back because it feels like home.
Okay. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Is there? So I guess this kind of leads into my next question. So is there somebody? I guess an artist, another. I guess a local artist. I mean, if it's Beck, you could shout out Beck. But I mean, like, is
shout
there,
out to Beck.
Shout out to Beck.
He needs our support.
He's a loser.
He's a loser. Why don't you kill him? No. Is there somebody you admire in the scene, or like locally? Is there like
Dover in the elevators. I fucking
Dover.
love him. I love Ryan, Tyler. They're some of the nicest people I've met since coming to Roanoke. And I love seeing them live. I listen to their music all the time. And their live spec, it's just such a cool fucking thing. Tyler's such a powerhouse of a drummer. And all the TVs playing these random old movies. They're just such a cool act.
they are definitely a spectacle?
Yeah, in the best way. In
yeah.
the best way.
Yeah, in the best way possible.
But what about you, Jason?
Yeah, oh God, so many again. I do I like Yearning an awful lot. Their music really, really hits me. I've, every time I've, shared the stage with them, and forgive me, I'm terrible with names, but lead singer
Kenny.
Kenny, yeah. To be able, every time I talk to him, his face lights up and everything. It's like he's genuinely happy to talk to you. And I think that, outside of that, you have to love and respect Lost in Space Camp. They're some of the most technically gifted folks locally, and it was really cool. We, I guess.
Right.
They opened for us, but really they were the headliners. I don't know how to explain that, but trust me,
Yeah.
they were the headliners.
Yeah.
But during their set, you could just see people's jaws drop, and it was just a cool experience to be a part of it.
And
That last show we played with in the milk parlor? Yeah, it was at the milk parlor. With Yearning. I like the fact that I think we called up Bailey, the bass player.
Yeah.
And he just did he one practice?
One practice. We ran through it one time.
I sent him MP3s the night before the show, and he learned the songs. And
We had a
he
practice.
it's funny when we played with him. He not only because he could have come in cold and done great. 'Cause songs were pretty easy, but he was playing what I played on the demo, which again it wasn't crazy bass playing. It was he figured out exactly so effortlessly just
Nice.
in one listen. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
let's
Skillful
let's
musician.
talk about the elephant in the room. We love the mums. Sully,
Yeah, the mums.
Sully is of course.
I have to love the mums.
Yeah, he knows the lead singer of the Mums very well.
We've played a good 6 or 7.
Yeah,
Seriously, a
that's-
lot of shows. The Moms, really nice people.
Yeah, that's
And they just treat us. They just like family.
Yeah. They also sound fucking awesome.
Yeah.
They kick ass.
I don't know. Like, I don't think we have any upcoming show.
No,
So
that's
we're
fine.
playing.
Just yours, right?
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, loose shows. Yeah, we're playing Saturday at the Spot. Yeah. So that will have already happened by the time anyone
But
hears this.
thank you for having come to Taking
Yeah.
Cover Fest
And if you
a couple
didn't,
weeks ago.
go get yourself a time machine and jump on back, baby. Yeah. My students will absolutely. Some of my students will probably listen to this. So
That's great.
make sure you did your
Awesome.
homework. Go read. And be kind to your family.
So,
Be good. Be nice.
Exactly. That's a lesson for anybody.
Yeah.
You know.
oh,
Sure.
yeah, absolutely.
Read and be kind.
So, and I guess, are there any releases?
We're literally sitting on a song. I just haven't uploaded.
Well,
it
I
yet.
mean, essentially,
it's
honestly, we're probably gonna play this before the song comes out. I don't know when.
that's fine. Yeah,
That's fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's yeah.
It's literally just I need to. It's funny. I have 2 laptops, my work laptop and my MacBook, and I don't know my password for DistroKid. I need to look it back up. My login for how I upload music is on my work laptop, but the song is on my MacBook. So I literally just got to do 2 steps, email it to myself, whatever,
Yeah.
and then upload it.
Yeah.
Soon, I'll get to it.
Right. Okay. So
yeah.
there's a single coming out soon.
Sometimes when you know something is complete, you just want to sit on it. for a
Yeah,
minute,
yeah,
don't you?
yeah.
I don't know
and
why
I keep
that
telling
is.
myself I might actually do this one adjustment. I'm not going to do any more
Yeah.
adjustments. I'm done. It's
Yeah,
done.
it's done.
I'm
Yeah.
done.
I understand.
But it's there.
Yeah. So you have a show the 24th, which if you had a time machine, yeah, okay.
Come see
And
us.
yeah, all right. So I think. Well, thank you, Wes, and thank you,
Jason.
Jason.
Bye. Yeah,
Jason.
Wes and
Thank
Jason.
you
Thanks,
both,
guys.
yes.
It's
Yeah.
great soup. Your
Oh,
tomato soup was
Good
awesome.
sandwiches.
Oh, hey,
wow.
you know,
Yeah.
not
A couple
a
great beers. Yeah.
Yeah, hey, not a problem. So I guess.
I highly recommend any other bands out there try this because you will be fed well.
Yeah, right. Seriously. I was starving.
Next
before I
time,
got-
the next band has to bring their own soup.
you guys are going to be hemorrhaging money before you know it.
Yeah.
Soup.
Yeah, this was quite a treat here.
Oh
This
yeah.
is amazing.
So, from all of us here around my kitchen table, this has been Bands Over Soup. If your band wants to come on the podcast, email bandsoversoup podcast at gmail.com or Instagram or probably coming on this podcast. Thank you guys. And what is the song we're gonna go out? What is the?
This is Robots in the Bell Jar, which is a nonsensical title, partially stolen from Sylvia Plath. Doesn't matter. We,
I hate
this was a song that we kind of truly wrote as a group, I would say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because, like any song we play, I've never told Jason, hey, right here, you better be hitting the tom
Yeah.
and the splash. Or, I don't know how to give drummer directions, but yeah, we all kind of, played on it once. I had some chords and lyrics and came out pretty well.
Yeah.
I think it sounds good.
Well, I was gonna say most of your titles of your songs, this is from me, are kind of nonsensical.
Yeah. So they are and they aren't. Almost every title comes from usually an author, a short story. Does that make it sensical? No, it doesn't. But there's some sort of random. I'm really into Dadaism, which is like this art form where it doesn't have to make sense. It just has to sound cool or sound emotional. So you could say, purple sweater or
Cellar door.
yeah, green mausoleum. It just has to sound. There's a certain.
It's like a feng shui for words.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Feng shui
yeah.
for words. That's
Yeah.
yeah.
See, now I've made a word, and now you've got a phrase.
I'm using that for the rest of my life.
Yes.
Yeah, robots in the bell jar.
I love that.
So you get into it.